Daredevil Company is a game by Artur Zarczynski for 2 to 8 players and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. The game takes place in a high fantasy world of orcs, elves, dwarves, scientists, and goblins, but is merged with the Victorian steampunk genre, leading to an interesting mix of armies, contraptions, and strategies. Each person takes an army of a given color, purple, green, orange, yellow, etc., and consequently gets an assortment of good or bad characters. The army cards range from 1 to 12 in value, with slight variations in each color. The contraptions allow for the complete removal of an army, an increase in strength, the decrease in strength, or other modifiers that can greatly influence who can win or lose a fortress. Then 3 contraptions for each player is added to the deck. A series of fortresses are placed out in the open as attack targets. Then the fun begins. The cards are shuffled together and each player is dealt 11 cards. Players take turns choosing 3 cards from their set of 11 cards. Then each players play 1 card on a fortress to attack, holding the remaining 2 in their hand. Then each player takes the 8 cards not chosen by them and hands it to the player to the left. Those players then add the 8 new cards to their 2 cards they already hold in their hand, and choose another 3 from that set. Often players will keep the 2 cards they already held from the previous round. Then again, players must choose 3 cards to hold. Then everyone plays 1 card and the cycle repeats. When attacking a fortress, the good and dark sides are totaled. The larger sum remains and the weaker side is discarded from the fortress. This is known as the siege. The storming portion of the attack is when factions determine what color is most, and then ensure that that color's sum is greater than the defense points for a successful storming. After the first round, most fortresses will be obtained. At that point, players must defend their fortresses by playing characters and equipment on their fortresses. The player with the most points from their fortresses at the end of the game wins.
Hello and welcome back to Gamers Remorse. We have another indie game to play. This is Daredevil Company. It's a game for 2 to 8 players set in sort of a high fantasy steampunk universe type thing. So the first thing we do is we need to determine what color everyone is going to be. And we want to even that out, but I think to start off we'll just mix up all the different color cards and draw.
Each grab our respective decks.
Put our color card in front of us.
These actually all need to be shuffled together.
We have 5 fortresses out on the table,
going from low to high value.
so there are supposed to be 3 specials for each player.
With that, how do we determine who goes first?
You can do the best goblin voice.
Ooh, me.
Who does the best Smeagol impression? That's close, right? Goblin, Smeagol. I mean, I know they're not the same, but he ate a goblin.
Right.
Right? And we saw it in The Hobbit, and that totally took place in my mind.
I can do a dwarf impression. You want to see it? Boom, done.
My precious, don't trust the hobbitses. Taters, precious.
I can see.
Who's going first? I like it.
Know that you're not actually a good side, you're bright side.
Yep. Always look on the bright side of life. Ba-na, 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 ba-na.
Agoraphobe? No, that's fear of, not hatred. So what is going on here?
Apparently everybody's going for the 15.
Yeah.
I'll follow suit.
Follow suit.
So we're tied
though.
15-15
Yeah, it's
on
tied.
there.
Yeah.
Alright, so pass this along to you. I'll take this. Go for the next one.
And I am up first this time.
Ooh. No!
I like a dad.
That's
Like a
nice.
High five!
Very nice.
Alright, so drafting. Reading draft bow.
I can do a Midwestern American accent pretty well.
Wow. You took my precious.
Which one?
No.
This one here?
Yep, because it gets rid of the first one.
Jerk.
Of each.
Face.
No,
it's
on either side.
I thought it said on both sides.
Yeah.
It means
No,
like of the
coin.
card.
Offense and defense.
Not. So like if there was a card up here,
Yes.
get rid of that card.
Oh.
Z.
Ziggy ziggy on.
Nice.
I thought
Don't you sing along with me.
Where's it going?
There.
There. Where's that?
Yes, there.
How am I getting picked on from every which way?
Because you're yellow.
Apparently, that's how it works.
What? You guys are being racist. So what does substitute do again?
Nothing.
Substitute, you can trade the last two.
You switch out your seed for Ben.
columns.
Yes. So I'm gonna substitute this with
Hey-o.
this.
Oh, my lantern.
What is going on?
Hey, sailor.
Well, isn't that just a fine how do you do?
Alright, that's round, right?
Yep.
Round, 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 I get around.
If I had a time machine, I'd totally go back in time and see the Beach Boys when they were popular and not old.
Brian Wilson's still performing.
He did get operation, and now he performs as Wilson Phillips.
What is the Wilson Phillips song?
I don't know. I just talk. I don't actually know anything. You didn't hear it from me. Once upon a time, I thought I was going to get 2 fortresses. Now I'm down to 0. I'm not really sure how that happened.
Oh, hello!
Then I go like this and just discard these guys.
Nice.
Actually, no, that's not what I was gonna give it.
Do you know what is awesome? What? When there's an earthquake. Fortresses. Because it gets rid of scientists.
I'm going to do another earthquake here. So long,
Warlock.
That didn't help you, that just hurt me.
Yeah.
I understand hurting cats. Example, if I was to start a country called Brumaria.
Bremnaria? I think you can get ointment for that. Clear it right up.
I thought. I'll witchery the dark side off of that sucker.
Whoa!
Look at the troll. That's pretty awesome.
Orcs
You just,
and the goblins stay.
You just bought some no attack.
Attacking you next round from me.
hey, how can I get that?
I was gonna witchery
Killing
this,
me.
except there's so many stinking goblins for the dark side over there.
Exactly.
Death Star.
Yeah.
Hence me putting them there.
The goblin chain.
And that
There's
sucker.
really only one choice. I hope it's not a stink bomb or a witchery.
Yep, I should have done it. I should have witcheried this, and it would have allowed us to win this.
That's alright.
Okay,
We can
so-
hit it next time.
I get this one, I know.
Yep.
And I definitely get this one. And then
Let's do
I
this
get
one.
this
'Cause
one.
It's easier. Yep.
Then Brian gets this one. Well, I think you got
So
this
I was
one.
thinking they had more
Mercenaries is
on
yours
there.
and
Had I
beats
known
this
that, I would have
Mercenaries.
backed off a lot
And
more
then
and
all
focused
of
a little.
those are gonna beat anything else.
I know what it feels like to have an armory card. Let's see what happens. Like, I can't win that now. It's the only other armory that's already been used.
Can't counter it.
So, I've no reason to focus on.
Well, you can still win. It doesn't just automatically win.
It says if I add all of mine together here, each of you only have to play like 2.
You still have 15.
I was gonna say, this is
No,
a
but it's gonna get
15
earthquake.
defense. If an earthquake is around, there were 3 earthquakes that were already taken out last time.
That's gonna make this round very interesting.
I'm assuming it's going to. We're going to see what happens. My money is on that. Lose my fortress.
I am gonna try for it at least. We'll see what happens. Alright.
And that is nullified by.
Yes. But technically this should be facing this.
Ooh, this one on here.
Yes.
As soon as this
My warlock is a hero.
Is this it?
down
Is this
there.
the last round?
I feel like
I feel like this should be
I thought you were going to attack Aaron.
I mean, eventually.
for that night.
So put him there.
What? I like this.
What on earth are you doing?
I have no hopes of winning anything outside this 5.
You're keeping it, yeah.
Die outside of that. I'm gonna assassinate this scientist.
I'm gonna let one of Aaron's dwarfs play with my goblin.
This is hard.
It's more than slap happy.
So I am going to witchery that, which really just gets rid of your warlock. Oh hey, look who just took your fortress.
I really.
Witchery.
On
White side. Or bright side.
Oh, it does an entire side like that?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't
so
affect
now,
your dwarves.
Doesn't affect the dwarves, but the elves are gone, the knights are gone.
What's really
The
gonna hurt is the
scientist is
scientist.
gone.
Yeah.
Well, the scientist, that wasn't really going to be a big hurt because the scientist I wasn't going to be able to attack with anyway. However, the
that's a fair
armory
point, yeah.
had added 2 to all of my guys, and so
Yeah.
I would have stormed across
Yeah,
that
it's
side like
accumulative.
nothing.
Yeah.
No, I was counting up. You were still short.
I mean,
Why not?
and then Brian's got this one. Brian keeps this fortress, which means I think you guys tied at 20.
Twinsies! So this has been Daredevil and Company on Gamers Remorse. I guess let's go through our rubrics and say what we liked and didn't like about it. Our game. So my initial impressions were, so I played it before we played it here today. I played it with my fiance and we kind of liked it. It was okay. With 2 players, it's really limited. They actually say it goes from 2 to 8 players. I think 8 would be kind of a lofty goal just because any game you play with more than 4 or 5 starts to fall apart unless it expands really well, which is very rare. I mean, even with Catan, I'm annoyed with how long it takes to play with 6 players.
Oh yeah.
Other aspects of it is some cards are overpowered. There's some balancing issues. I think what the designer tried to do is he tried to make each color a little bit different. And so you would have some knights that were kind of better, or you had more knights and less dwarves in different colors. But without giving the people an option to pick and just randomly giving it to them, I think it makes them at a disadvantage, particularly if they don't know what they have.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're playing this game, it might be good to go through all the cards and make sure that you know what's available to you. So I'm just going to start through my rubric. I think these guys have more to say about it. Quality of components. I'm going to say the artwork is fantastic and laid out. Really good, really easy to read. I mean, everything's in nice big fonts. Great, I don't know, iconography on a lot of the stuff. I think it's all there. I don't think there's anything really missing from the quality of components. Good balance of skill to luck. Yeah, I mean, with the shared hand mechanic that Seven Wonders uses and a couple other games, there's a lot of skill of deciding what you want to play out of that. And then deciding what you want to pass on. Sometimes you can play it defensively, and maybe I don't want Brian to have a warlock or a scientist, so I'd pull that out and use it for someplace bad, you know. So I'm gonna say, yeah, I'll give you a 1 for that. I thought there's definitely skill there. Analysis paralysis, so this game suffers from it. Absolutely. If you know that you're going to go through every single option, it's going to take forever. There's multiple places you can attack out there, there's multiple cards to use. I mean, there's constantly choices that you're making along the way, and each step along the way, if you're trying to figure out every possible option, is going to take forever. So 0 for that. Theme. So this is what I wanted to get to. So the artwork is fantastic. It's kind of a high fantasy thing meets steampunk, which kind of threw me back because so we're attacking fortresses, which sounds like high fantasy. It didn't quite match up to me because you never hear of high fantasy steampunk. It's a Victorian era steampunk. You know, I mean that was the genesis of the idea with H.G. Wells and all of that fun writing. So, I mean, that was kind of weird when we have a bunch of orcs and dwarves going into battle against a great fortress or a mighty fortress, and there's cogs and stuff. That was kind of weird. So I'm going to give you 1 for theme. Thrill versus competitive, I would absolutely say there's thrill, and I was feeling competitive in that. So I'm going to give you a 1 on that, and was it fun? I'm going to give you a 1 on that. So, I got 6 overall. I thought it was a good game, however, it took a very long time to play, and that would be something I would be leery of, playing this more than one time in a night. And we've played it twice now, so we didn't even play multiple rounds, we just played 2 rounds, really, and that was plenty. Yeah. So, that's my review. I give it a 6. What do you think, Brian?
So as far as visuals, like he mentioned, you know, I really enjoyed the way the cards looked. I loved the way they could be flipped over based on if you're playing your color or someone else's color. It was very legible. The colors just worked very well. The art was fantastic. So on a scale of 0 to 2, I gave that a 1.5. Because there are things that I think could have been done better. I would have loved to see the brown trolls look different than the purple trolls. Even just some minor changes would have been really fun and exciting. It would have just kind of added more, I feel, immersion into the game that way. Skill to luck, 0 to 1, I'm going to give that a 0.5 because there's the luck of the draw, but then skill of which do I keep and how do I use it. So I'd say that's a really good balance between the two, but there is still a heavy luck element. As far as pacing, 0 to 2, that gets a 0. Analysis paralysis in this, just huge. The time it takes just to go around drafting is, again, huge. If you went first, it means you're going, like, you'd get skipped. And so you can go a long time without doing anything, so it's really easy for focus to get lost. And so the pacing just really suffers. With the theme and immersion, of that one, between 0 to 2, I'm giving it a 0.5. Because I was just confused by the theme in this. I mean, like kind of like Sean mentioned, is this high fantasy or is this steampunk? I like the idea of the two being mixed together, but I didn't feel like that's what I was getting. I just didn't feel steampunk outside of the art. I didn't feel like I was using anything steampunkery. And then for the mechanics, on a 0 to 1, I give that a 0.5. Just out of I liked the drafting mechanic. I enjoy drafting, but it's weird taking 3 and then being able to change them out and everything. I think that added, really, that mechanic added to the analysis paralysis. And then fun, 0 to 2, I gave that a 1. I mean, it was enjoyable. I'd play it again, not today. And I think I'd be picky on who I invited to play it. I wouldn't invite people who aren't heavy gamers. And I wouldn't invite people who are known to take 5-hour turns. Not saying any names, but we have 2 volunteers already. You know, and so it's one of those things to be picky on who I would invite. So 1.5, a half, 0, half, 1. If my math serves me right, that is a solid 4.
All right, Aaron, what did you think?
All right.
Tell us the truth.
And tell us
Lay it all out on the
dirty truth. All right.
And rant starts now.
Yeah, I guess I did not enjoy this game so much. The one redeeming quality has been talked about. The artwork was magnificent. And then just talking about some kind of overpowered things. We were talking about kind of like how the boot kicks people out, but assassinate kills the last unit. Both of them seem to do pretty much the same thing, almost. Assassin might even be a little bit more limited in the fact that the boot worked with cannons, mines, mercenaries, heroes, taverns, and armories, whereas the assassin didn't include some of those things. And the assassin was a card that only had one of them, whereas the boot had a dual kind of feature where you could choose between two. And then you had things like Witchery and Stinky Bomb, which could just obliterate entire sides or everything on there except for dwarves and goblins. And so basically you could have seen that last turn, I was just stacking up everything on there. The last card that gets played on there takes out my entire side except for maybe a couple of dwarves that I put on there. I just think some of those things are a little overpowered. Maybe that was supposed to be part of the game mechanic and that you were supposed to play defensively around that. But that starts to really favor the defense, I think, because they start lining stuff up behind their side. And then it's just like if they just witchery the other side, it's going to be very difficult to break through the fortress, let alone try against the defense. And then I am admittedly analysis paralysis person. I get annoyed by it because I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Everybody else has chosen what they're doing, and I'm just sitting here going, I'm still trying to figure out these cards, trying to figure out which side I'm going to look at on these cards to try to place things. And then every single card that gets added changes stuff, and so I have to start making new decisions. It starts all over again. I'm just kind of bad with those kinds of things. I try to analyze things to death, so I am a person that will slow this game down to 2 hours when perhaps it could have been done in 1 or something. But anyways, my little rant. Overall, I think I would give it a 3. I didn't enjoy it. The artwork was pretty much the one saving grace for it, but I think it's a little bit too complex and some of the parts aren't just balanced right for me. That's my thoughts on it.
Eric?
Yeah, I thought I would find this a lot more enjoyable than I did. I don't understand teams. Like, why have 2 different teams?
Thank you. Yes.
This would be a great game if no one had allies ever.
Yeah, like I don't
Free
understand.
for all.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much played as a free for all, but there are 2 decided teams, and they don't actually ever come into play at all, really. I mean, outside of just the the siege, yeah, and it's just like at that point you'd much rather have it essentially a free for all because overall you want that anyway. So I don't know. Like right now it's 4.5.
Okay. Another note I would like to add in here is I had a problem with the rule book. Well, okay, so let's discuss a couple of things. The rules, I know this isn't your first language, but you really need someone to review these rules. They a lot of times it led into confusion because there is some grammatical issues where it didn't quite explain what we thought you were trying to explain. So we kind of filled in words to make it work, and we think we played it right. There's a chance we didn't. The other thing I want to talk about is this. These special cards you have written here, this is the only place you actually define what these mean. It would be really handy if you had a card, just a single card for each player. Add 8 of them into here that are helpers. That say, if it's this icon, it means this, you know. It doesn't have to be detailed, not as much as this, because this is really detailed, but at least a reminder, you know. A good example is Bang. They use icons throughout, and it's just a couple of words written down on a card that, like, oh, okay, that's what that means. Something like that would be incredibly helpful, because as it was, the turns were taking a long time, admittedly, but this was a huge factor in that. When we first started playing, it was, all right, hand it around, okay. Everyone knows what they're playing, okay. All right, so we gave this game 4.25. If you guys have played this game, please write some comments below or tell us what you thought. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Do you feel in charge?
Do you know what I want them to do sometime? Remake Dark Knight, but where you can understand what people are saying.
Ooh, burn. I mean,
I'm Batman.
Why did no one ever think to give him a cough drop?
I know. I know.
Really?
I think his suit was choking him out.
Probably.
And they're like, that sounds good. Keep that going.
He's like, guys, I can't
Yeah.
breathe. Dude, just keep that up. That's amazing. Seriously, get me out of this thing. Dude, Christian, whatever you're doing, just keep at it.
Okay. So have we chosen hands?